everybody, this is Bobby with bobbystamps.blogspot.com, and I'm going to show you how I made this cute card. I've really been using tone on tone lately, I've noticed, but I think it's super cute. The way that it turned out, I'm obsessed with this stamp set, and now I think I'm going to be obsessed with that one and just see how many cards I can make. So we'll get started. I'll tell you, this is super quick, super easy card to make. It would be great if you're mass producing, if you need a lot of Christmas cards, and just plain and simple, this is the card for you. So the first, the card base is actually chocolate chip, and it's our regular A2 size. It's cut at 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. I'm just going to give that a quick scoring while we're doing that. Move that out of the way. And then we have a piece of Very Vanilla. This piece is cut by 3 by 4 1/2. And then we're using Crumb Cake that is cut 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to use the stamp set Happy Ornament and Merry Medley are our stamp sets that we're going to use. And then we're going to use, this is called the Very Vanilla, I think it's just stitched ribbon, satin ribbon, yeah, stitched satin ribbon. And then the only ink pad you're going to need is your chocolate chip. And then you'll need a little bit of snail. I like to do the sponging around the side, so you're going to need a sponge for that. So we will just go ahead and get started. I like to use a scrap of paper so that way I don't ruin my mat. And we'll just bring in a stamp that this is this big. I usually like to lay the paper on it, but I tried that earlier with that card that I made, and it just didn't seem like I got as good of a stamped image. So I'm just going to ink this up really well, and we'll just do it the old-fashioned way, where we just stamp on top of the paper. So I'm just going to move this in, make sure I have that where I want it, and then just go straight down. And I'm just going to hold it there just for a few minutes, so that way it can soak into the paper. Just want to make sure I get a good image. It's a big stamp, so it's kind of, I've got small hands, so it's kind of hard to make sure you get good even pressure. So that's what I'm just trying to do right now, is make sure that I get that image on there, and that looks really well. So we'll lay that off to the side, so as you can see, put that there. And then we'll just go ahead and bring in the next piece, which is the Very Vanilla. I'm just going to flip that just to make sure I don't get anything on my Very Vanilla. And we're just going to do the same thing with this one. It's a little bit smaller, easier to handle, but just make sure you, as you can see, I just got it there, so I want to make really certain that I don't rock my stamp, because that could get on my paper. So just make sure I have that straight, and then we'll just go straight down with that image. And the same thing, I'm just going to kind of rub, just leave it lay there just for a second for the ink to set into the paper. The bigger stamps are just kind of hard for me with my smaller hands, so I just kind of like to put even pressure and just leave it there for a little bit. And that looks pretty good. While we have that out, we'll just go ahead and start inking around the sides. And I like the darker color, and I also like when it does get up on the cardstock like that, because it just gives you a little bit more shading, and I think it's just a little bit more visible. I'm just going to keep kind of moving around until I have it the shade that I want. Okay. This card is going to be done before you know it. So we'll just bring everything in. I'm just going to take some snail and put it down for the card, on the card base, on the chocolate chip. And on this one I did pop it up on some dimensionals, so we'll just move that in. I took these dimensionals that I'm using to my card class that I had last week, and they got, I don't know what happened to them, to be honest with you. They're kind of like, I don't know if the paper got taken off of them on both sides, but they're like, as you can see that right there, it doesn't even have a paper on it. So I'm trying to get them used up so it doesn't go to waste. This is what takes the longest to make this card, is peeling off the dimensional paper back. Okay, got that one. We'll just go ahead then and put that on there centered, and then bring in our ribbon. And I like to tie the bow while the ribbon is still on the little holder there, because I think it, I don't know if it's just me subconsciously, but I think it helps me to not waste my ribbon. Because I kind of, it just seems like I never know how much to cut, and if I pre-cut it, I never cut enough, I cut too much. I think I'm going to have to start over, because this one's, it's not going to have a long enough tail for what I'm wanting, because I wanted them to hang down just a little bit. Because the ribbon is on the stamp set, and that's why I kind of put the ribbon where I did. I am not having luck tying this today. I'm going to redo it because it's still not hanging like I want it to. Use a lot more ribbon and see if that helps me out. I think that's what it was. I wasn't. It's either I don't use enough or I use way too much. And then I just keep pulling until I have it the size I want. Kind of looking the way that I want it to. Then I'll cut off. I'm going to go ahead and cut it there, because let me move this over here really quick. Because it's getting kind of where I want it. It's still a little bit too big, but I'm going to pull it just a little bit like that. That's about right. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe a little bit smaller. Don't want to go too much smaller, but just a tad. I think that'll work. And then I like to cut my ends. I like to have like a really sharp point on there. So we'll do that. And I was going to use a glue dot, but I don't have any, and I'm not going to make you guys wait, so I'm just going to put just a little bit of snail right there. And then just put the ribbon, and it kind of hides it. If you wanted to, you could use glue dots to kind of like manipulate the ribbon and have it lay there, but I don't really care that you can see that. I mean, I could put glue dots on the ribbon and have them both just lay like that. So it's up to you, whatever you want to do. But if you want to visit my blog, I'll have the complete supply list for you there. It's bobbystamps.blogspot.com. Thanks, guys.